Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are closing in to the end of this saga. And in today's video, we're going to consolidate all the features into the main module Pocket Goods. Before I forget, under the Wishlist Manager preview, before assigning the data context to the snack bar, try to resolve first of all the dependency in order to make the snack bar visible. I think that you have overlooked this particular step. You have just to add this and you are good to go. All right, with that being said, let's dive into the Pocket Goods main module and add all the features. Under this Pocket Goods, create a new folder. I'm going to call it main. Basically, I'm going to move the main window to main. All right. And the startup URI, we're going to override this later on. The first thing that we're going to do is to implement the main view model. Under main, create a new class. Let's call it main view model. As dependencies of this view model, we need the authentication use cases, app settings use cases, wishlist use cases, and the dispatcher. We need an observable property for the user ID, and we need the state of this main section. Let's call it Pocket Goods app state. If we do ever need other states, we're going to add them accordingly. Now for the event, we need an event that's going to be triggered to load the data, to check whether the user is still authenticated or not, and basically to set the authenticated user ID. All right. Now let's implement the view model. Let's add the use cases as private fields. Now let's define the function that's going to implement internally the needed events. Let's create those methods. Here we have to do authentication use cases, get authenticated user. Now we have to subscribe. Let's store this subscription under a private variable. It's going to be of type iDisposable. Now, what's going to happen here, if the user is authenticated, we're going to proceed. Otherwise, we have to clear the cached user. All right. In order to do that, we're going to use the dispatcher and we have to invoke asynchronously for the default case. We don't care actually about the default case. The case that we are interested in, which is the error state, which means we have provided the wrong token or something wrong under the authentication. Most likely it's going to be token related. If you have an error, I'm going to clear the cached user by using authentication use case and clear cached user and invoke. After this, we have to call the action on unauthenticated. I'm going to fold this section. Now for the other one, on load data, I'm going to load the application settings, including the theme and whatnot, and the user data. Now we have to deal with actually two subscriptions for the settings and another stream of data when it comes to user data. I'm going to create a new subscription for the application settings. Let's stream first of all the application settings. Before that, we're going to cancel or dispose the old stream. With the same manner, going to dispose user data subscription. Then we have to assign new one. We want to tell the application that you have just started loading the data. We're going to call this particular action on load application settings started. We can actually make operations on this observable. Then we have to use defer. It's going to be called as soon as we're going to start the stream. Let's call this action on load application settings started, which is mandatory. Afterward, we have to return the real stream of data that we are using from the application settings and invoke. Next, we have to subscribe to change the application settings in real time. Let's store the value of dark theme here. We have to get the destination. It's time actually to define the destination. We're going to do the same thing as we have done in SwiftUI by creating a custom class going to encapsulate the data of the destination. Under Pocket Goods, create a new folder. Let's call it routes. Under routes, create a new class. Let's call it destination. Let's try to define the available destinations for this application. We're going to make this destination class an abstract record. We need the route of type string, whether this destination is public or private. I'm going to override for debugging purposes the function to string. It's going to give us only the route. And we have to convert the route. I'm going to just define the skeleton of this function. For example, we have the home screen of type destination. Now for the route, it's going to be home screen. Is public, it has to be true. Let's define the destination product detail screen. It's going to have the ID. it is of type destination. For the route, I'm gonna put here the $ detail screen and pass here the product ID. Is public. Now for the wishlist manager screen destination with the same manner, except is public should be false. And for the two others public destinations, product search results screen as well as unauthorized screen destination. Now we have to implement this particular try parse. I'm gonna keep this file clean and I will create extension function on destination. It's gonna take in a parameter, the first parameter should be actually this and the route. Now we have to check if this route contains the route value home screen. In this case, we're going to return home screen destination. We can access the route field. The comparison should be string insensitive and ordinal ignore case. Going to return new home screen destination. Now in the same manner for wishlist manager screen destination and the others. Now the only difference here is for detail screen, since it's gonna be variable according to the product ID. First of all, I'm gonna check if the route starts with this particular prefix. I'm gonna copy it. Starts with, in this case, we're going to return new product detail screen destination. However, we have to pass here some data as an argument to the record product detail screen destination. How to get this particular ID, and you have to convert actually the product ID to long. By using long try parse, going to split the route by this separator. I'm going to take the last element. And where to store this conversion? Let's store it under the variable product ID. Product ID. And if we don't have any matching destination, we're going to throw an argument exception unrecognized route, or the route is not defined. All right, let's come back to the destination class and let's call this function to destination. We have to surround this with try catch. If you have any exception, we're going to return null. Hence, we have done try parse. Now we can return route and to destination. I think that I have said that we're going to do an extension function on destination. It's wrong. We're going to do an extension function on this string. Now we're going to add the destination as a state under the app state. And of course, the initial destination is home screen. I'm going to add one more event to set the current destination. Now let's come back to the main view model and let's add another case for set current destination. Let's create this method. We're going to implement it later on. Now we have the value of the dark theme and we can access actually the value of the latest route. Now we can safely convert or parse the latest route to the dedicated or the related destination. Try parse latest route. And this value is nullable if it's not going to assign the new home screen destination. Now, after doing this, we are basically done loading the theme. Let's call this function on theme loaded. I just want to show some text in the splash screen. For example, loading the theme, checking the data, checking credentials. It's going to be a text displayed in the animated splash screen. If you don't want to get fancier like this, you can omit basically this section. On theme loaded by passing the loaded theme. We can call on latest destination loaded. Let's create it as an action for this view model. I don't think it's going to be necessary to create an action. Let's create it here in the function as a parameter. Now we have to change the state by using the dispatcher. I'm going to change basically is dark theme is dark and latest visited screen, it's going to be destination. Now let's handle the section related to user data. I'm going to call here user data subscription, authentication use cases. Let's add subscribe with the same thing that we have done earlier. Invoke async. As we have done earlier, in case of loading states, we're going to show some message in the splash screen. For example, checking credentials. If we have the data on auth success, and if we have an error, we're going to call on failed. Basically, we're going to do some actions in the main window, showing a snack bar or something similar. Now, in case of loading, we're going to call the action on checking credentials started. We're going to update basically the value of the text block under the splash screen. Next, in case of success, in this case, basically we're going to assign the authenticated user ID and we're going to make sure that the snack bar won't trigger twice when the stream of data changes. In order to do so, what I come up with actually is to create a flag. It's going to be a normal private Boolean variable called only once, all right? And another one for the failure. Now I have to check if the odd success triggered flag is true. In other words, it has been triggered. In the scenario of our application, we're going to set it true. And we can call on odd success. This technique is going to allow us to call this callback function only once, all right? This is the main idea. We can set the user ID, resource, and data, and ID. In case of error, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to prevent the action on odd failed to be executed more than once the stream has changed. The stream is going to change actually when the user is going to toggle a product on and off from the wishlist. In this case, the stream is going to change. To prevent this from happening, to make it clear, when the user is authenticated, all right, it's going to show welcome back username. Now, once the user is going to add the product to the wishlist, it's going to basically show the snack bar message, the product has been added, and it's going to show the snack bar message, welcome back username. This is not good. Therefore, we have to do this. If this flag is false, we're going to change it to true and call on odd failed. Let's pass here the error as an argument and the default value break. I think it's the complicated part here. Before moving forward, we have actually in the error section, which is a good practice, to clear the cache user data and invoke. I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to fold this section. Now let's implement onSet current destination. We're going to change the state using the dispatcher. And this operation is asynchronous. Therefore, we have to invoke async. Let's try to change this current destination. Save application settings. New app settings record is dark mode from the previous state is dark theme. And the current or latest destination from the parameter. And finally, we're going to change the state regardless whether we have saved the data or not. Let's fold onSet current destination. Now for the event onSet user ID, can I assign the user ID from onSet user ID and user ID. Now we have to implement two relay commands. The first one to toggle or to add and remove a product from the wishlist, and the second one to switch theme. Let's create the first one. Let's call it onToggle wishlist. We have to check first of all if the product's ID is null. If it's not gonna do here an error return. If the user ID, which is the state user ID, if it's null, we're not gonna do anything. As we have done in the other apps, when the user is under product detail screen, we're going to show regardless if the user is authenticated or not, the button add to wishlist or remove to wishlist. Now, if the user is not authenticated, and since this screen is a public screen, therefore we have to prevent the user from toggling or to access this private route. In this case, we're going to show if the user is not authenticated, we're going to show snack bar message. Let's add here an action. Let's call it on unauthenticated. And by the way, let's add two other actions. When the user has successfully added an item to the wishlist and successfully removed an item from the wishlist. Now, if the user ID is null, we're going to call this action on unauthenticated. In this case, we're not going to navigate the user to 404. We're just going to show a snack bar message telling the user, please log in to proceed. All right. Now the user is authenticated and we have the selected item. Let's wrap everything with try, catch. Let's store the inserted wishlist item ID, and we have to call the use case and user ID value. Now we have the inserted wishlist item ID. If it's -1, we're going to trigger the event on product removed from wishlist. Otherwise, we're going to do on product added to wishlist. If you have any exception, we're going to throw just for simplicity purposes, and it's a good idea here actually to handle all the possible exceptions. In this tutorial, let's make it simple by invoking or calling the action on unauthenticated. I think that's pretty much it for this relay command. The last relay command that we have to implement is related to toggle dark theme on and off. Let's surround this with try catch. Let's get the current theme. Let's start under theme by calling theme switcher and get current theme. Let's initialize the variable is dark theme to false initially. Now we have to check if we are under light theme and if we are under dark theme. Let's change this variable to theme dictionary. We have done this earlier in the preview. Now let's call the use case save application settings, and you have to pass here the new application settings record. For the value is dark theme, it's gonna be is dark theme and latest route from the old state's latest route. Underneath, we have to change the state to reflect the changes in the UI equal is dark theme. We're not gonna do anything here. And since we are dealing with iDisposables, it is a good practice actually to avoid memory leaks by disposing the disposables. Let's use the destructor of the main view model, and here we have to do settings, subscription, and dispose, and user data, subscription, and dispose. Now at this particular stage, we can test our view model. However, I'm gonna postpone the testing of the view model. We're going to do the end-to-end test of our application. Now we are ready basically to implement the home screen, the splash screen, and the layouts. I'm gonna start actually with the home screen. I'm gonna keep it under main section. Home screen, it's gonna be a page, and let's start with the code behind. Now in this particular home screen, we're not gonna handle the state hoisting anymore. Now we are under the entry point of the dependencies. We need actually to inject here the auth view model, the products view model, and the main view model, and the snack bar controller. Now we have to resolve those dependencies. We need to resolve the dependency auth view model, products view model, main view model, and snack bar controller. Let's resolve the first one, auth view model. I'm gonna use the app container and shared resolve. The type is auth view model. With the same manner, going to resolve the others. What we're gonna do here under the initialization of the home screen, I'm gonna check first of all if we have the view models, and I'm going to register the events or to add the event handler for the unauthenticated to show the snack bar, and we have to bind all the needed dependency properties explicitly by using the binding maker. I'm gonna call this function private void to initialize everything and to make everything ready. Initialize, I'm gonna be inspired by this kind of function. Instead, I'm gonna call it initialize home screen. Events or dependencies, as said earlier, we have to check if we have the view model, auth view model, and products view model, and the main view model. If we don't have those view models, we're not gonna proceed. Now, whenever the user is not authenticated, we're gonna show a snack bar message, you are unauthenticated. We're gonna use the snack bar controller, show snack bar. All right, I'm gonna add here an extension function to override the default values and to provide only the severity and the string. Inside Pocket Goods, create a new folder. I'm gonna call it util. Under util, I'm gonna create a new class, view helper extension. It's gonna be an extension function on snack bar controller. Let's call it show snack bar. Snack bar controller, nullable, snack bar controller. The severity and the message. Now, if the snack bar controller is null, let's make an early return. Then we can use snack bar controller. You can actually throw here an exception if you will, or you can just make something try show snack bar. I think it's way better. Try show snack bar. It's way better. And set severity. Next, you have to set the message and show the snack bar. Builder pattern sign is very good. Now we have to assign the message component. Use snack bar content. For the snack bar state, it's gonna be snack bar controller and state. For the close command, snack bar controller, close command. And for the duration and short. Now let's come back to the implementation of the home screen. When the user is not authenticated, once clicking, for example, add or delete an item to the wishlist, gonna show this snack bar, try show snack bar. Now we have to use the severity error. Let's access the text message to be shown from the string resource, unauthorized. Before moving forward, let's implement the presentation of the home screen using stack panel. I'm gonna use the core UI discount animation. Let's add the height, for example, 200, the width 200, and let's add some margin. Let's say, for example, 0 and 10. Top, the next element, which is the text block discount. And let's make it headline 4. And of course, it has to be centered. Don't worry about those errors. Now we have to import the product feature. Namespace, you can name it whatever you want, actually. However, we have to use the product fragment. Now we have to provide the name of this component. Let's say, for example, products fragment section. And let's override this event on learn more click. Now we can use the name products fragment section in order to make the explicit binding using the binding maker. That's all for the home screen. Let's come back to the code behind. The first binding is gonna be for the authenticated user dependency property under the fragment section. It has to be bound to the view model. The property of the view model is authenticated user that belongs to the view model auto view model. Now with the same principle, we're gonna bind the target property pagination trigger command property to the property name under the view model products view model, which is get product command. And the binding mode should be one way. And of course, keep in mind, the name of this command has been auto-generated. We need to bind another target property, which is the state under the products view model to the dependency property state property under products fragment. The binding mode is going to be one way. And the last property that we have to bind explicitly using the binding maker, we have to bind the target property toggle wishlist command property to the command from the view model main view model, which is toggle wishlist command. And that's pretty much it. Now, as soon as the page has been initialized, we're going to initialize our home screen or the dependencies of the home screen. Afterward, we have to load the first data or the first page by calling the event or triggering the event get products from products view model. Under loaded, gonna do products view model get products for the first page. I'm gonna create an event for this particular screen. Let's call it learn more click. It's gonna be of type event handler, and you have to pass here the products ID of type long. Let's call it learn more click. And down here, we're gonna do invoke, and you have to pass as an argument product ID. And that's pretty much it for the home screen. I think that I'm gonna stop here. For the next video, we're going to continue implementing the Pocket Goods main module. I hope you liked the video. See you in the next one, and happy coding!